Hi, I am Jochem Scheurs.
And I'm Sophie den Hartog.
We are the founders of Fresh Habits. At Fresh Habits, we are specialized in leadership development, behavioral change, and organizational and team development. Today, we're going to talk about personal attention and the effects of it, both from a provider and a receiver perspective.
Jochem, maybe you can inform the people why we find personal attention such an important topic at Fresh Habits?
Of course. It's linked to my participation in a full triathlon last year. The days after this triathlon, I thought about the question, which type of support really helped me? In this case, to literally run faster.
Okay, interesting. And what were your insights?
Well, I divided the supporters into subcategories. There are 6, but I will focus on 4 right now. First, there were those supporters who were not paying attention at all. Then there were supporters who were clapping and cheering. There were supporters who called out my name after reading it on my bib, every single lap. And there were supporters who showed they remembered me after 3 laps. Showing this by sentences like, "Come on Jochem, still 3 laps to go." Interestingly, the difference in the stimulating effect between the supporters who read my name and the supporters who really remembered me was quite big.
Okay, that's surprising. What was the difference for you?
Is it surprising? Yes or no, I think. The difference for me was that supporters who remembered me really saw me as a person. And that gave me the power to give that little bit of extra energy that was still there. They did not only show personal attention, they showed follow-up on their initial attention. And this follow-up made all the difference for me.
Okay, it's really interesting. And how does this translate to a work context?
Now first, we can assume that with the right support, people will give more in their jobs. As an example, we encourage managers to provide more personal attention with follow-up. So not just ask what the plans are for one's weekend, but on Monday ask how their plans turned out. If someone is struggling, don't just help, but follow up by checking in after some time. One manager started to drink coffee with an employee who was working remotely, yet was not far away in distance, every 2 weeks. It was just a 15-minute coffee break, during which he was totally focused on this employee and made an effort to remember things. After 2 months, the employee shared that it has been since he felt so seen, which motivated him a lot. But Sophie, you have been a supporter in the most effective category. So what's it like to be on the giving end?
It's funny that you asked because it was so very rewarding.
Okay, and why exactly?
Well, I saw 3 things happening actually. First, I noticed that my enthusiasm form of support encouraged others to become more engaged in supporting as well. So not just the athletes that they were there for, but everybody. And I also really saw the effect of my support. The athletes would actually put in extra effort as soon as they saw me.
Okay, but that could be out of fear to get away from you.
Yes, indeed. But the third thing I saw was that people actually came up to me in their last lap to thank me for my support. Even after some of them had finished, they would recognize me, come to me, and tell me that I had really made a difference for them.
Well, yeah, out of experience, I think I can relate to this. But what does this mean to you?
Well, it made it easier for me. Now, when I'm at a sports event, but actually everywhere, also at work, I feel no shame or embarrassment in being the loudest supporter because I know people need it and appreciate it.
Okay. And how does this translate into a work context in your view?
Well, when you support your people, you get so much commitment in return. It's a positive spiral. You give and you get. One of my coachees made an effort to give more personal attention. And at first she said to me that it was awkward and it felt fake. But as she continued, it became more sincere and real. And she saw that the team was more committed, more willing to do the parts of the job that aren't so nice, which every job has. But above all, the team became more supportive of each other. So what I think is that in a work context, personal attention is underrated, but very important. And especially now that we are all working remotely, it is more important than ever. And what we see happening is that because everybody's working remotely, the focus is far more on work than on the person. And the result is less committed employees. So giving personal attention is also possible in a remote setting by using online tools. And therefore, we would like to end this webinar with some on and offline takeaways on how to provide personal attention. Because we believe that personal attention is fuel for motivation. And although neglected, personal attention is relatively easy and very powerful. So a few takeaways. 1, personal attention requires conscious efforts. Don't only show interest, but give a follow-up to your interests. Make sure you can listen with your full attention when you're meeting your employee or your colleague. And ask how they are doing both from a work and a personal perspective. And start with the personal perspective.
Okay, then I will add some tips to this interesting list. First of all, schedule time for your employees, and then especially for showing personal interest in your employees. Then keep a birthday calendar and send personal birthday cards, which can also be done digital. The third, express your appreciation. Consciously give compliments. We often think but forget to speak. And in a remote setting, use video calls for personal talk. We prefer it above a phone call. Then use WhatsApp for a quick follow-up interest. And introduce a digital coffee break for some one-on-one time. This was our video about personal attention. We thank you very much for your personal between brackets, but for your attention. And the last thing to say is stay healthy, I guess.
Stay healthy. Goodbye.
Goodbye.